Welcome to chapters 3 and 4 of Baron Trump's Marvellous Underground Journey. Let's examine the intro summary. Ivan, more and more troublesome. Bulger watches him closely. His cowardly attack upon me. My faithful Bulger to the rescue. A driver worth having. How I was carried to a place of safety. In the hands of old Juliana. The Giant's Well. Now, that summary does perfectly sum up the whole chapter if you read it. All right, the first page of the chapter is just Ivan disagreeing with Baron, like trying to get out of it. And to Ivan's defense, Baron broke the promise that they had made. Ivan only wanted to go 100 miles, and Baron's forcing him to go another 100 miles. And so Ivan's just trying to do everything he can to not have to do it. And he even shouts out to everybody, he says, "Hey, look at the Mazunta chick. How smart he looks. He frightens me. See his eyes, how they shine in the dark. Look at the little demon on 4 legs beside him. Save me, brothers, save me. He will throw me down into the Giant's Well." Baron orders Ivan to go to bed and tells the bartender, don't serve him any. Bartender says, yeah, they don't know when to stop. They have throats as deep as the Giant's Well. And then Baron realizes, the Giant's Well, the Giant's Well. It's strange how those words seem to be in every peasant's mouth. And so the Giant's Well, Baron eventually discovers, is the people will tell thee, is the location. All right, they go to bed, and then the next day they're on the journey, and then Ivan tries to sabotage the trip again. Prior, Baron tells Bulger to keep an eye on him, and then they get in a fight. Ivan does a backhand blow to Baron, knocks him down, and then is going to whip him and hit him one more time. And right as he's about to hit Baron, Bulger jumps and bites into Ivan and just doesn't let go. And then Ivan dropped the whip and he's reaching for his knife, and Baron pulls out his gun and shoots him in the arm intentionally. He didn't want to kill him. And then Ivan falls over and rolls completely out of the wagon, dragged Bulger with him. And the horses were then starting to rear and plunge. And then Baron blacks out. And then Baron wakes up to find Bulger controlling the horses. Like Bulger's actually like the driver of the horses. So remember earlier when he was describing the dog as the demon. And imagine them coming back into town with the dog driving the horses as the driver. These people seeing a dog driving a cart, they're going to think, yeah, man, this thing is some kind of demon. Who could think of a dog driving a cart? The last page of the chapter is Baron realizing that he needs some medical attention from the wound he suffered from Ivan. And he meets a half-witch, and she examines the cut. And as she examines his cut, she says, well, it is not as broad as the mountain, nor as deep as the Giant's Well. But it's bad enough, little master. The Giant's Well again, thought I, as I laid me down on the best bed they could make up for me. I wonder where it may be, that Giant's Well, and how deep it is, and who drinks the water that is drawn from it. And that concludes chapter 3. On to chapter 4. All right, so the intro summary. My wound heals. Juliana talks about the Giant's Well. I resolve to visit it. Preparations to ascend the mountains. What happened to Juliana and to me? Reflection and then action. How I contrived to continue the ascent without Juliana for a guide. All right, the chapter starts with Baron recovering, thinking about the Giant's Well and how he returned the horses back to Ivan. He had the peasants bring him the horses, and Bulger observing Baron through his rehab. So Juliana then says to Baron, "Hearken, little master," whispered Juliana. Such was the name of the old woman who had taken care of me. "Thou art not what thou seemst. I never saw the like of thee before. If thou wouldst, I believe thou could tell me how high the sky is, how thick through the mountains are, and how deep the Giant's Well is." I smiled, and then I said, "Did you ever drink from the Giant's Well, Juliana?" At which she wagged her head and sent forth a low chuckle. "Hearken, little master," she then whispered, coming close to me, and then holding up one of her long bony fingers. "Thou can't trick me. Thou knowest that the Giant's Well has no bottom." "No bottom?" I repeated breathlessly, as Don Fum's mysterious words, "the people will tell thee," flashed through my mind. No bottom, Juliana? Not unless thine eyes are better than mine, little master, she murmured, nodding her head slowly. Listen, Juliana, I burst out impetuously. Where is this bottomless well? You shall lead me to it. I must see it. Come, let's start at once. Thou shalt be well paid for thy pains. Nay, nay, little master, not so fast. It's far up the mountains. The way is steep and rugged, and the paths are narrow and winding. A false step might mean instant death, were there not some strong hand to save thee. Give up such a mad thought to ever getting there, except it be on the stout shoulders of some mountaineer. Ah, good woman, was my reply. Thou hast just said that I am not what I seem, and thou said truly. Know then, thou see before thee world-renowned traveller Wilhelm Heinrich Sebastian von Trump, commonly called Little Baron Trump. Though short of stature and frail of limb, yet what there is of me is of iron. There, Juliana, there is gold for thee. Now lead the way to Giant's Well. Gently, gently, little baron, almost whispered the old peasant woman, as her shriveled hand closed upon the gold piece. I have not told thee all. For leagues about, I ween, no living being excepting me knows where the Giant's Well is. Ask them, and they'll say, it's up yonder in the mountains, away up under the eaves of the sky. That's all they can tell thee. But, little master, I know where it is, and the very herb that cured thy hurt head and saved thee from certain death by cooling thy blood was plucked by me from the brink of the well. These words sent a thrill of joy through me, for now I felt that I was on the right road, that the words of the great master of all masters, Don Fum, had come true. The people will tell thee. Aye, the people had told me, for now there was not the faintest shadow of doubt in my mind that I had found the portals to the world within a world. Juliana should be my guide. She knew how to thread her way up the narrow pass, to turn aside from overhanging rocks which a mere touch might topple over, to find the steps which nature had hewn in the sides of the rocky parapets, and to pursue her way safely through clefts and gorges, even the entrance to which might be invisible to ordinary eyes. However, in order that the superstitious peasants might be kept friendly to me, I gave it out that I was about to betake myself to the mountains in search of curiosities for my cabinet, and begged them to furnish me with ropes and tackle, with 2 good stout fellows to carry it for me, promising generous payments for the services. They made haste to provide me with all that I had asked for, and we set out for the mountain path at daybreak. Juliana, in order not to seem to be part of the party, had gone on ahead by the light of the moon, telling her people that she wished to gather certain herbs before the sun's rays struck them and dried the healing dew that beaded their leaves. All right, along a highway of the underworld. So everything was going fine, but then he heard Juliana screaming in the distance, and it was the people found her, and they said, turn back, brothers," they cried to my 2 men. "The little wizard there has struck hands with this old witch. They're on their way to the Giant's Well. They'll loosen a band of black spirits about our ears. We shall all be bewitched. Quick, quick, cast off the loads you're bearing and follow us." So now he doesn't have his crew. He doesn't have Juliana, but he solves the problem. He says, now, there were 2 difficulties staring me in the face. Namely, to find somebody to show me the way up the mountain, and if that body couldn't carry my tackle, then to find somebody else who could. It suddenly occurred to me that I had noticed some cattle grazing at the foot of the mountain. Baron goes into detail about the cows that he sees, the hoofs, and the yokes that are on there, and he suspects that it's to keep the cows from going up the mountain, and he realizes that the cows may know of some delicacy that they want on the mountain, and that they would lead him towards his destination. So he said, then he says, but why should they want to clamber up the mountainsides? Simply because there was some kind of grass or herbage growing up there which was a delicacy to them? And knowing, as I well did, what risks animals will take and what fatigue they will undergo to reach a favored grazing ground, it struck me at once that if I would make it possible for them to reach this favorite food of theirs, they would be very glad to give me a lift on my way. No sooner said than done. I forthwith retraced my steps until I fell in with a group of these cattle, and it did not take me many minutes to loosen their yokes from their horns and tie the hooks up under their bodies so that their progress uphill would not be interfered with. They were delighted to find themselves so unexpectedly freed from the hateful drawback which permitted them merely to view the coveted grazing grounds from afar, and then, having cut me a suitable goad, I again started up the mountain, driving my new friends leisurely on ahead of me. Upon reaching the spot where the superstitious peasants had thrown the tackle to the ground, I proceeded to load it upon the back of the gentlest beast of the lot, and was soon on my way again. So that's chapters 3 and 4. Nothing too vivid taking place there. Just the journey of Baron getting to where the giant's well is. Even though this particular video didn't have much meat in it, I hope it was somewhat enjoyable for you, and I'll see you in the next one.